What's going on, everybody? Zack Williams back with another Uncaged podcast. If you know, you know. This podcast is all about the journey to the top 1%, which is by becoming 1% better daily, which is what we focus on in Uncaged. And today's questions come from the Uncaged free group. Super excited about that group, all the momentum it's getting, and really seeing people come out of their shells. So we opened up a platform for people to start asking questions, to start finding solutions to their problems. And luckily, this podcast gets to dig into some of those in a little bit more detail, right? And so today's questions come from the group, and the first part of it is self-limiting beliefs. And we were able to take a few different men's questions and kind of mold it all into this one podcast, which is like, how do you get over self-limiting beliefs, which also led into questions about imposter syndrome. And then, like, how do you judge success? Like, what is that measurement of success, and how do you judge whether or not you are going down this path of either being successful or becoming successful? And then, what does a real man look like? We are in Uncaged, we're men. We're men's only accountability group. So, like, for us, it opens up the line of communication to have certain verbiage about, talking to men specifically in men's roles, not gender roles. Your role as a fucking man. Your role as a leader. Your role as a father. Your role as a husband. Your role as a business owner, or whatever the case is. But, like, your role as a man, which also opens us up to the opportunity to talk a little bit more polarizing to each other, because we are a specific type of men. We are not out here just trying to skate by in life. Now, I don't care if you're a business owner, an investor, you're an independent contractor, you're a W-2 employee, whatever the case is, like, you can be working for someone else and still be a leader and still go out there and be a high achiever and a high performer. And those are the types of men that we involve ourselves with. Just because a majority of us are business owners, investors, entrepreneurs, whatever the case is, does not mean that it discredits anyone else that's in a specific role. However, we are not just here for the business owners and the investors that just want to just skate through life. We're here to make it to the top 1%. And how do we do that? We focus on becoming 1% better daily. So, like, how do you get over self-limiting beliefs? Now, self-limiting beliefs is your own personal thoughts on yourself, on your abilities, on your skill set, on your dreams, and on your goals. So the first thing what we have to do is, the more specific you can be about something, the more successful you can be at it. Right. What does that mean? If you have self-limiting beliefs, a majority of that is going to come in because you just don't have enough knowledge on the situation that you need in order to have the confidence to go out there and become successful. So how do you get over that? Learn more. Many of you guys know my background is in combat sports. I used to fight other men. I got locked into a cage and one of us walked out of there. And so for us, if you look at fighters, we study our opponents leading up to the fight. If you look at professional sports teams, what do? They watch reels. They are studying how the other team performs so that they can come out and become the victors. You have to do that with your skill set, with your dreams, with your goals. So whatever these situations are that you're having self-limiting beliefs in it usually comes from a lack of knowledge. Now, we are going to talk about imposter syndrome in a little bit, which somewhat is different, but same, but different. The self-limiting beliefs for you is, if you have a goal, and many of y'all have heard my Dream Life speech, and in that speech, one of the things that I do is I ask people what their quote-unquote dreams are. And we work through this process of finding out who has actually even written it down, who's just taken that one step and given their dreams enough respect to write it down, whether that's on paper, whether that's on a computer screen, whatever the case is. Have you given your quote-unquote dreams enough respect to even just write it down? But then from there, we have to go into building up action steps and a strategy to get from where you are, which is having the dream, to actually being able to fulfill that dream and turn that dream into reality, which then produces that dream life. And so for you, if you are having self-limiting beliefs, it's probably because you have not sat down and actually formulated a strategy to make it reality. Because if you had that plan, you would then turn this overarching weight of the unknown into a action plan, which is just a list at this point, just a list of check marks. That's it. You get to see that one foot in front of the other strategy of getting there. You can see, all right, cool. Step one, I've got to do this. Cool, did it. Step two, did this. Cool, did it. Step three, step four, step five, step six. And as you start to progress down this path, you will not only realize how far you've come, but also how close to your actual dream or your goal or quote unquote success is for you. You will then get that momentum going and start to derive inspiration and motivation through your own journey to propel you to actually making this reality. So it's all going to come back to how specific can you get about your goals? How much knowledge can you attain to make this a no-brainer? One of the guys I asked earlier that's going through an incredible process with his business, I asked him, on a scale of 1 to 100, where's your head at? Where's your confidence at on this project being successful based on the research that you've done? And he said 95. And I said, dude, as a betting man, I'll bet on 95% odds. And that confidence that he has in that project is because he knows the offer, he knows the audience, he knows that his company's sustainability as far as actually fulfilling that offer and that project. And so that therefore his confidence is through the roof. But if you're having self-limiting beliefs, maybe it's because you don't know enough, you haven't gotten specific enough about that goal or about that dream, or maybe you haven't gotten specific enough about the journey, those action steps, that strategy to get you from where you're at to where you want to go. Because I promise you the best way to get over self-limiting beliefs is to know without a shadow of a doubt, you know everything that it takes to complete this dream in your head. What does it look like? What does it talk like? What does it smell like? How does it feel? How do you feel once you've accomplished it? If you can get specific about that, and more importantly, the man that you are when you achieve this and what this does for you, because once you get here, guess what? Your goals and dreams change. We have the whiteboard scenario inside of Uncaged VIP that we talk about all the time. And, you know, Jaybird asked when we talked about it on a roundtable call, what happens when you get here? What happens when you get to that dream life? Do your goals change, right? Like and yes, your goals do change. You're a whole new man. Who are we to think that starting from where we're at and to achieving what we truly believe are our dreams and our goals right here, right now, once we get there, do you not believe you're going to be a different fucking man than you are currently? How exciting is that? How is that not motivating enough for you to go out there and get real about your dreams and be specific about those and get specific on the strategy to get there so that way you can, not only you can crush these self-limiting beliefs, but then you just become a better motherfucker. And then guess what? Once you become a better motherfucker, you, because you're a better motherfucker, are going to have better aspirations, dreams, and goals. But none of us would sit there and say, oh, yeah, you're right, man. Like, once we get to the top, we're going to be like, man, this was a waste of time. No, because you became stronger. You became better. You became a better version of yourself. And through that journey, you will start crushing and getting rid of those self-limiting beliefs. But it all comes down to the knowledge base on, let's call it the enemy, which the enemy is going to be all those obstacles, all those roadblocks along the way, because life's going to try and push you back down. Life's going to try and hold you back down. Life's going to keep you in a negative vortex because life doesn't want you to win. And that's just our role as men and our role as leaders. If you're on this channel, if you're in Uncaged, we aren't the ones, like I said earlier, that are just sitting here skating by. We're here to take life seriously, take our life to the next level for ourselves, for our families, for the loved ones, for the teams that we run. We're here to take on that responsibility. I've had this conversation with many guys inside the group about like life can be hard when you are an overachiever and an overperformer. And that can come from, again, whether you're an entrepreneur, an investor, a business owner, a contractor, a W-2 employee, whatever the case is, it's the personality inside of you. It's not your role inside of a business or an organization. It's who you are as a man. And so with that, high achievers are always looking for more. And sometimes down that journey, guess what? It's not all peaches and cream. There's going to be those valleys. If you have the peaks, you got to be able to work through the valleys. That's your responsibility. If you want to be a high achiever, it is your responsibility to be able to be tough enough to make it through there, right? It's not for everyone, and I understand that. And those people probably aren't watching this episode. But if you are watching this episode and you do consider yourself a high achiever, it is now your responsibility to eat the shit sandwiches that come with taking the huge wins that are going to come in life. But knowing that is going to give you the ability to press through the mud when you face it. But again, those self-limiting beliefs that you suffer when you're down there, these are the things that are trying to hold you back from climbing your next peak. And it is your responsibility as the man that's sitting here and watching that to get through it, because it doesn't last forever. You know, there's so many cliche sayings that you can take into consideration, like it's always darkest before dawn and this and that and whatever in the case. And those cliche sayings are around for a reason. You cannot enjoy the wins without the losses. If you never play the game, dog, if you never fucking play the game, you'll never get a W. You'll never will. But here you are in the fucking game. So in order to get to those W's, you got to take some L's. And the beautiful thing about that, we talked about this in Uncaged the other day, is if you start tracking that and you start tracking your win percentage, those losses get a whole lot fucking easier to swallow, because now you know, all right, fuck yeah, I lose every 10 shots I take, every 10 games I play. Well, guess what? When you catch that L, you get to fucking walk out of there head high, shoulders back, chest out, knowing that guess what? You got 9 more fucking games you're fixing to win. And that is the difference between being a motherfucker that has self-limiting beliefs, because now you take all those L's and you walk out of there with your head held low, you're slumped over, and you feel defeated. But once you start to understand that it takes those losses to make you a champion, Brendan Brittingham said no championships were ever won with clean jerseys. That shit's fucking true, bro. If you want to succeed, if you want to be a winner, you have to do what winners are willing to do to be successful. And the more that you start to do this, the more that you start to focus on that, the more that you keep the end in mind, the more that you focus on your dreams, and the more that you check off those check marks of those action steps to get from where you are to where you want to be, the less and less self-limiting beliefs will come up. Now, they will still come up. I don't care who you are. One of my mentors does $100 million a year. Guess what? He still suffers with self-limiting beliefs here and there. But the objective here is he knows that while, albeit he's having a shitty day and it's fine, but he knows that he's stronger than that because he's gotten those reps in. And the best way to get those reps in is to understand the enemy, to watch the reels, watch the fights of the opponents that you have, to understand what you're going to face along the way, and understand that as you go through this, this is a learning lesson. When you're down in that valley, right before the peak, understand. Be specific about it. What's it feel like? What's it smell like? What's it taste like? Who are you as a man while you're experiencing this? Because the more common ground you can find with this, the more you can understand this, the more that you internalize your surroundings and the feelings that you have and the moments that you're experiencing and the lessons that are coming out of there, the more you can grow. It's the Bader-Madoff phenomenon. The Bader-Madoff phenomenon is that, you've never seen a yellow car before in your life. You buy a yellow car, now you see them everywhere, right? It's that law of attraction. It's when you're in this shit, in the lows of life, in the losses of life, if you can start to pick up and and start focusing on what are the lessons that you learned here, because the objective is to never end up back in a loss again because of the same reason, is now we're continuously growing. So those quote unquote losses for us are lessons that we apply to our life so we never end up back down here again. Now we'll have another valley. That's fine. It's part of it. We'll plateau again, but it won't be for the same fucking reason. So now that journey to the top 1% that we're going on and being 1% better daily means when we suffer a situation right here where we have experienced a loss, we're in a plateau, we're in the valley, whatever the case is, we've learned from it. So now our new baseline is where the fuck we're at today. Think back on your life. Where have you come from? You might be experiencing a low right now, but this low is now the new platform for growth. This low that you're experiencing, where you're at currently, it might be a low right now in a valley to get to the top 1%, but look how fucking far you came. How far from this, with this now being the new level, the new standard of growth. Would you not rather be in this low right now than a fucking win way down there, way in your past? Look back at what you used to consider wins back then. These are daily occurrences for you fucking now. So why don't you pull yourself out of the fucking mud, grow a pair, and get to fucking moving forward and take the learning lesson from here and apply it to your life so that you never end up back here ever again. Yeah, you're going to stumble, you're going to fall down, you're going to get beat up, you're going to get knocked down in the future, but it ain't going to be for this fucking reason. And the more you grow this, and the more you practice this, and the more you focus on this, and the more you visualize on this, self-limiting beliefs for this issue, for this problem, for what you're currently facing will be non-existent again because you've now got the reps in. You are stronger now than ever before. And then that's going to move us to, while you've crushed self-limiting beliefs, or at least gotten to the point where you can pick up on those self-limiting beliefs sooner and suppress them quicker, which is the ultimate goal, because again, they're still going to come up. And they're not going to get any easier, but you're going to get stronger because you've gone through the reps. You've studied the fight cameras, fight reels. You know how to fight these and combat these now. Now you move forward. And so then it phases into an imposter syndrome where you start to surround yourself with other, which is the power of Uncaged, surrounding yourself with like-minded men. How do I not have imposter syndrome when one of my best friends and mentors runs a $100 million a year company, right? Just because of his success does not limit my success. Just because he's ahead of me in this race of life, in this race of success, in this journey to our dream life doesn't mean shit, does not devalue the information, the knowledge, the experience, the motivation, the inspiration that I have. We're two different people on two different journeys, on two different paths. I don't have his same dreams and he doesn't have mine. So who are we to compare apples to oranges? However, imposter syndrome is still something he goes through. And some of you, I don't know, might be looking up to me saying like, man, dude, this dude's out here getting it. And he's got his podcast, he's got his apps and his free groups and his VIP groups and this and that and whatever. And it might look great to you. That doesn't also mean that I don't suffer from imposter syndrome. It sucks sometimes because I start to feel down on myself. But again, what I mentioned earlier about self-limiting beliefs, my trick now is as soon as that imposter syndrome peaks up, I want to get to the root of the problem as quickly as possible, and I want to recognize it peaking up on my life as quickly as possible. It's a game to me now. Those thoughts come into process, boom, let's visualize. How far have you come, bro? And the imposter syndrome to me comes from having respect for what you do. I have a conviction about Uncaged. I am convicted about how do we get this in front of more men, because more men need to hear this. More men need to feel this way about themselves. More men need to surround themselves with like-minded men to see the power of it. It's real fucking hard to be a piece of shit when you're surrounded by winners. One of the guys earlier this week was talking to us that's in VIP about when he first joined, was in a shit part of his life. And dude is now killing it. And part of that he attested to Uncaged, but it wasn't because of the roundtable calls. It wasn't because of the expert calls. It wasn't because of the daily group chats or anything like that. It was because he's simply surrounded by people that are giving 100% of themselves to their craft every day, and he wasn't going to be the one left behind. And because of that mindset, because he knows, my response to him, it's real fucking hard to be surrounded by winners and not win. Actually, my comment to him was, when you surround yourself with winners, you accidentally start winning. And that's the power of that. And through this, as you start to involve yourself with winners, and he experiences, which is one of the reasons I brought this up, as he started from an outside looking in, was, man, you're surrounded by all these guys that are quote unquote doing better than you. How can you not feel bad about yourself? But it's not that thought process. Imposter syndrome comes from feeling as if you, whatever you're speaking about or whatever you're doing, that you are not qualified to do so. And a lot of that comes from your own mental standpoint, because a lot of you guys, when I talk to you individually about what you're doing or what you're discussing or what you're educating people on or how you're motivating people or how you're inspiring them, is the fact that, like, you know your shit. You just have such a desire to be the best that you start to discredit your own self and look for excuses to not go out there and put yourself out there, because guess what? Along the journey, there's going to be haters. That's part of it. You got to get used to that if you want to be this motherfucker in your dream life. But the point is that as you go through this, you start to pick up on things that you know what to do. And because it might seem somewhat elementary to you, you start discrediting it. I've had this conversation with many of the guys. You know, I've got 18 years of marketing experience. If I was going to go teach someone how to send an email marketing campaign, for me, step one isn't to tell them, turn on your computer. Now, obviously, I'm being a little bit tongue-in-cheek here, but the point is some of the things that seem so elementary to you could be life-changing to the people that you're talking to or that you're leading or whatever the case is. But that self-limiting belief, that imposter syndrome starts creeping in and starts telling you these negative thoughts to hold you back. Because the thing is people don't know what they don't know till they know it. And neither did you. But someone suppressed that imposter syndrome to go out there, put themselves out there in the open, and to be vulnerable and be honest and open and transparent to teach you what you know now. Someone did that for you. You didn't just wake up with this knowledge. Someone went out there, they took a chance on themselves, they shut that fucking voice of the imposter syndrome up, and they went out there and they taught you. But now you're being a little bitch and allowing this imposter syndrome to creep up, which is now causing someone else who needs this information from you to suffer because you're too scared to do so. And when imposter syndrome comes up, I want it to remind you that the imposter syndrome you are facing is because you feel convicted about your position. It is because you want this to be so good, because you care about it so much that you don't want to fuck it up. And my point to you here is the only way you're going to fuck this up is by not spreading that message, is not going out there and being that motherfucker that you know that you deserve to be, is not spreading the word, is not putting yourself out there on video or trainings or sharing the information or education. I would not be where I am today if people had not taken me under their wing. I wouldn't be. And so that's why I'm going out there and trying to spread the information that I have. You know, Russell Brunson talks about this off the movie Catch Me If You Can. Gentleman was, in a professor at Brigham Young. He was an imposter, whatever the case is, at BYU. And when he finally got arrested, you know, the officers asked him, like, how are you able to teach a BYU grade course with no knowledge on the matter? He said, dude, I didn't have to know it all. I just had to be one chapter ahead of everyone else. And that can be you. And so because you happen to be a chapter ahead, you might not rank yourself at a skill set level 10, but you could be a skill set level 5 or 4 or 6. And guess what? There's still 1, 2s, and 3s that can learn from you. There's still the 3, 4s, 5s that can learn from you. The 5, 6, 7s that can learn from you. Whatever the case is, there's still people that can learn from you. So for you, the imposter syndrome is feeling like you have to compare yourself to someone that's 10 steps ahead of you when that's not the case, because there's still 10 people that are 10 steps behind you that you could pour into. And because you're allowing yourself not to be strong enough as a man to suppress that imposter syndrome, they start to suffer, which is not anything that I want to see any of you guys go through, because again, we are building leaders inside Uncaged. When you come into Uncaged, especially in VIP, it's all a stair step into leading your life the way that you want. We want to build up leaders. How, talking about earlier, when you surround yourself with winners, you accidentally start winning. For us too, when you surround yourself with leaders, it's hard not to start leading. You accidentally start leading people. You lead by example. And so for you, I appreciate the fact that you have I don't appreciate the fact that you have self-limiting beliefs, but I appreciate the fact that you have imposter syndrome, because it means that you believe in what you're doing. And that belief in what you're doing is what you need to remind yourself to keep that imposter syndrome and those self-limiting beliefs at bay. Because it's that conviction of what it is that you do that's going to take you out there and help take your life to the next level. And so with that, I want to talk about, what's it like how do you judge success? Like what does a successful man look like? And a successful man looks differently to everyone else. Again, my mentor has different dreams than I do. He's going to have an image of success in his life that looks differently than mine. But the ability to understand that and to stop comparing yourself to other people is what's going to make it happen. I'm not going to mention the names, but one of the guys that, one of my fondest memories of one of my best friends, we were having a conversation because he was constantly sitting at tables, literally and figuratively, with people that on a success scale were making way more money than he was. Way more money. Multimillionaires. And when we had this discussion, he was nowhere near that level. And we started discussing home life, everything else that goes into making people a man, making men men. And man, this dude loves what he does, loves who he does it with, loves his life, loves his family, loves his relationships. Everything in life is going great. And even the type of person he is, the money he was making was great. And I told him that out of everything that he mentioned, a lot, statistically, of these multimillionaires would have traded all to have what he had. So when it comes down to it, like, who's more successful? The guys that went out there and focused on one thing of their life, and great, now they have a bunch of money. Some of the millionaires I know, they're so poor, all they have is money. They are just rich. That's it. And there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. In Uncaged, we focus on health, wealth, and relationships. And we focus on those in a specific order. Some people would get mad at us or think that our opinion is polarizing. We focus on our own health. And health can be mental health, physical health, spiritual health, financial health, whatever the case is, first. It's the, oxygen mask in the airplane scenario where you got to take care of yourself before you could ever take care of anyone else, especially your wife, especially your children. So how do we take care of you first? Well, that's so bad. You should put your wife over everything. Says who? Says who? You got to take care of yourself, because if you're not 100% for yourself, you'll never be able to be 100% for them. People, they know my relationship with Heather and Lottie. Love them to death. Every day I try to be the best husband I can, the best father I can. But I can't be the best husband I can, and I can't be the best father I can without first being the best man that I can for me. I got to be there. I have to have that. I have to take care of myself. And once I take care of myself, then I can pour into them. My wife says that she's got to pour into her own cup. You know, she leads the Women Unleashed, and one of her big things is, how can you pour from your cup if your cup is empty? So for you and the guys in Uncaged, how do we get you feeling like a man again? How do you feel like a man? How do you feel when you walk past a mirror and see a reflection of yourself? How do you feel when you interact with other human beings? How do they look at you? How do they respond to you? What are things that we can do to help you become a healthier version of yourself? Again, it's not just physical, it's holistic. And then we move into wealth, because we learn, again, way before relationships. In wealth, we learn what truly makes someone wealthy. You know, for me, I had a discussion about, you know, my previous life in entrepreneurship. You know, at first I was the 6 a.m.er, then I was the 5 a.m.er, then I was the 4 a.m.er, then I went back to 6 a.m.er, right? And at each point of those, I would have probably told you that was the best thing that I could do at the time that made me feel successful, made me feel wealthy. But now my judgment of success and wealth is that I go to sleep with my wife every night and I wake up with her every morning, with some exclusion of some nights that I have to, you know, stay up late to push a project across. But 9 times out of 10, we're going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time, because for me to feel wealthy, it is to have a strong relationship with my wife, again, which ties into those relationships. And then we get into relationships. But wealth to us, success to us, is measured differently. And it's going to measure differently to you. You know, most people look at success as certain accomplishments that someone has checked off on a board, or at current pace, what people post on social media. But just because someone else is going out there and sharing those quote unquote wins in their life doesn't mean that if you shared that same experience would actually make you successful. Because like I said, I know so many millionaires that would trade all of that fortune to have what my friend has. Because that's the true meaning of wealth. That is the true meaning of success. So going back to the comment that I said earlier, let's see, how do you judge success? Get specific with it. The more specific you can be about something, the more successful you'll be at it. So go out there and write down a list of all the things that you believe are going to make you successful, and be specific about it. Give all the details. Spend time on this. You're telling me that this is your dream. Show it respect, and spend the time to get specific about it. Because if not, it's bullshit. You don't truly care about it that much. So go out there, write down a list of all your dreams, and write down specific reasons on why you want those, and then write out specific strategies on to get you from where you're at to where you want to go, and you will become successful. It's up to you. You have to determine what success looks like in your life. And only you can be successful at your life. Only you can achieve your dreams. Your goals, your dreams, your life, your aspirations are yours. They're going to be different from mine, and that's okay. Once you understand that, you will become more successful. You will have the wealth that you're looking for, and you will feel like the man that you deserve to feel like. Man, I hope this episode was cool. I wanted to break into some of the questions that have been asked inside of the Uncaged free group. I hope that this gives a little bit more validation to some of the thoughts that you're going through. Because if you're in the free group, or especially if you're in the VIP, we get access to the roundtable calls where we chop up feelings and thoughts like this live on the call with 20, 30, 40 men at one time. It's a really great opportunity. If you want any more information about Uncaged and what any of the movement looks like, if you want to download the app, join the free group. If you want to buy some of the merch or join VIP, go to www.uncagedcrew.com. That's also where all these podcasts will be dropped every week. So I'm excited to have you guys here hanging out with us. It's been a blessing to bring this type of content to men that are like-minded. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you soon. Peace.